No work, no pay. That is the method the federal government has adopted for university lecturers who recently called or suspended their 8-month long strike and returned to classrooms. Members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities say they were paid half of their salaries for the month of October, but the federal government says that is not the case. The Ministry of Labor and Employment says the members of ASUU were paid their October salary pro rata, adding that the lecturers cannot be paid for work not done. The union is already holding executive meetings and consulting with its legal representative to determine its next line of action. That's the crux of our discussion. Joining us now is Senior Researcher, Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, Professor Kayode ASUU. It's nice to have you join us, Professor. Professor ASUU, good morning. All right. I spoke with him not long, and it seems we just lost the signal there, but certainly we'll get him back on board. Now, this issue of, lecturers and the federal government, one would expect that in the spirit of reconciliation, government should be able to say, okay, no problem, let's have this done. You pay your salary, you go back to class, and then, but let's not have this done anymore. Let us not go back to the trenches anymore, in the spirit of moving forward. But it seems it's still the same things that are being talked about right now.
Winston Churchill said it is better to judge than to war. And they have been in this condition of war for a long time, and they judged into peace, and then this. This is not the time to be too particular about what the law says, what the law does not say. The Speaker of the House of Representatives who brokered this said that, the law says that, you have to follow these rules. But he also created a caveat. In the sense of reciprocity and peace, the president could intervene. You have a right not to use your right, as T.S. Eliot has said once. It is the law that if you don't work, you don't pay. It's the law. Some people have said that the federal government in the past has done that for medical associations and so on. It doesn't mean that it is the right thing, but it is the law. But even when there is law, there's also conscience. There's also humanity. So I think that in the spirit of what Abia Miller has done in bringing this piece together, what stops them from paying the salaries? They wouldn't kill anybody. Nobody will sue them for doing that.
After the money is there.
The money is there. It was allocated from the beginning of the year. So where are you saving it to? Is somebody going to steal it? Or has somebody stolen it already?
That's another dimension you're bringing down. All right. I think we have a professor back on now, senior researcher, Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, Professor Kayode ASUU. It's nice to have you join me. We lost your audio earlier. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Yeah, we're fine.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, great. All right. Now, help us understand from the perspective of the academia. At times like this, we, the laymen, let me put it this way, or the onlookers or the watchers of what's going on assume that it shouldn't be too difficult for intellectuals and the government to understand each other because of the level of their operation. But it seems this disagreement has been on for so long. What is really going on from your perspective, from what you see?
I think you have made an allusion to it. Intellectuals are intellectuals. They do things based on reasoning, based on logic, based on things that can be publicly defended. Politicians are politicians. They do things always for self-centered purposes. For me, that explains why we are having this problem. I say that because and I've said it again and again, that what ASUU has been fighting for since 2009 is based on one thing, and that is, dear federal government of Nigeria, you created universities so you can use education to serve the good of the electorate that brought you into the office. Now, these universities are going to the shallows, decaying. Could you please come and fix these universities that you created so you can fulfill your electoral promises to the Nigerian people? That to me is logic. I don't know why any government from any part of the world, represented by any minister, will not understand this simple logic. And so we are where we are because of the inability of the political class to understand that the intellectuals does things for the purpose of all, not for his pocket only. And I think that's what ASUU has demonstrated over the years. That is what we are demonstrating now. That is also what we demonstrated when the court of law said, go back to work. In spite of our grievances, we decided to shed our swords and return to work. And immediately we returned to work, we began to overhaul the university calendar to accommodate those works that had not been done purportedly and put them in perspective. And then the Gbajabiamila committee was set aside to give us the political solution to the thing, assuring us that the committee had interfaced with the federal government and something good was coming. Only for us to see, my brother, on the 4th of November, not October, not at the end of October, on the 4th of November, the greatest insult that any intellectual class of any society could have was meted on us. Pay people 13 days, 12 days prorated salaries, and from that salary you have paid, amputated salary, you remove 100% tax. Fraud. You remove all your deductions 100%. Fraud. What government of any country does that to the population of the people? An insult of the Nigerian students, an insult of their parents who returned them to school, an insult on the population of university professors that we have in Nigeria. In fact, an insult on the entire nation. You could have
Professor, we have lost your audio again. Okay. All right. We hope to have him back as we get along. Now, I think his point is really clear here, and he resonates with what you were saying earlier on. No one is saying that things can't be done in a better way and all of that. There are issues of law, but you also, like you said earlier, there are issues of law. There are issues of moral conscience, and in the spirit of let's move on together.
Yes.
Because after all, what are we struggling and fighting for in the first place? It's for the education. It's for the good of Nigerian education. And if that is the case, and agreements have been signed, they were not adhered to, memorandum of understanding, memorandum of action, all of those have been signed. Government after government, year after year, have signed all of those. In that spirit, I believe that some people are also saying that government should even be, after seeing since 2019 or so 2009, one agreement after the other, you signed, yet not implemented. By now, government should be saying, well, you know what, this time around, we just want to get everything right. Let's just move on. That's what a lot of people expect.
He made some point there. He said that they give them a pro rata prorated salary, and they're charging them a full salary charge. I want to be sure whether that was what happened. Is it that they charged them 100% of the full salary?
Meanwhile, they
paid them half, or that they paid them 100% of the half salary? I want to be very sure.
Yes.
Because it will be fraud on the part of government and real official mischief for somebody to be earning say 500,000. He's supposed to earn 500,000, and you pay him 250, and you charge him the tax of 500,000. That is fraud.
Yeah.
That means you made a mistake. Go and pay the full salary.
Exactly.
I'm paying the full salary.
If you're going to take the tax,
yes,
after all.
because they can sue the federal government for mischief and for fraud and for false charges.
Yeah.
They can be sued.
It's true.
Sued for that. For stealing their money. Yes. You see, they can do that.
Except if they're saying that somehow the remaining parts of the salary will come later.
They have not said that.
They haven't said that.
So that's why I'm saying that they should pay them the full salary now. For them to get out of that hole of litigation and of accusation of fraud,
because
they should pay them the full salary.
Yeah, because if ASUU has to sue them before they say, oh, no, the remaining part of the salary is coming, then that would be an afterthought. That would be an afterthought. Yeah, but the point there is we see different congresses of the universities, different chapters are taking different measures as we speak already.
Yes, yes.
University of Jos has told their lecturers, sit at home until the salaries are paid. Don't worry, just stay at home.
Yes.
When the salaries are paid, you come back and work. You know, then ATBU, that's Tafawa Balewa University in Bauchi, they are thinking of striking out the 2021-2022 session already.
Yes.
Because it's 8 months.
It didn't happen.
It didn't. It didn't, as far as they are concerned, it didn't take place. It didn't happen. So they are looking at striking that out. Some other universities are thinking of, seizing the results of students,
Yes, in Gombe.
In Gombe, exactly.
Yeah.
Gombe State University. So all of the different chapters are thinking of different things, although we wait to see how the national executive body will harmonize what the position of us, all local chapters will be.
What the federal government is creating is another chaos. Now, we had the chaos of all of them sitting at home.
Yeah.
Now, what we have now is everybody going on his own form of protest. So we have a kaleidoscope of protests. So we don't know how to handle any of all of this because everybody is going away at his own time. And that's very bad. That's because of lack of faith. You know, there's the law and there's also the conscience.
Yeah.
The Bible says that all things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. You know, there are some things that are lawful, some things you just say, well, the purpose of the law, that's what they said the letter of the law
kill it.
But the Spirit gives life.
Of course.
A writer said the abstract kills, but the concrete saves.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to be careful to make sure that what we do is what is concrete, what can help us, what is practical. That is what we should do. Not just trying to stick to law or egoism. That was why Gbajabiamila Miller came into this matter and said, look, let us sit down. There is a different budget coming next year. There's going to be a different government. There's going to be a different set of thinking, and a different set of attitude and temperament. And so we will have all of these on table, and let us just drag ourselves out of this predicament. And even this government seems to not understand that this has to be done. This is very interesting because this is a government that is heading a party that is going into an election in a few months. And it is important for us to ask whether there is a deliberate effort with some fifth columnists in this administration to subvert the elections of his own party. The presidency must address this very issue, whether there are elements within that party, inside the government, who want to shortchange his own party going into the election by this kind of attitude.
Yeah, it seems obvious that the point there is, it's just maybe some persons are the ones saying no, like the we no go agree kind of
Yes.
the parlance that we say on the streets. No, we won't accept because the point there is it's not a big deal. It's something we can sit down right here, like we've analyzed this thing during the long strike of ASUU. We said if that issue. If government wants it to be resolved today, it will be resolved right now. ASUU chairman, president, or where are you? Let's meet now. And it can be resolved right away. It is the issue of pride and ego here and there where, like you have mentioned earlier, of, okay, no, we wouldn't accept. Otherwise, if we do this now, oh, NMA will come with their own. If NMA comes up with their own, oh, NUT will come up with their own. If they come up with their own, no, the NLC will... Looking at it from the perspective of if we do this for these people, the other people will come up. I think it's not a good way to...
There are so many universities in the country, and a lot of them are still quiet.
Yeah.
We have just had a few who have said, we are going this way. ABU says, we are not even doing anything until January because we don't even trust these people. Let us see what will happen. We've not heard from UNILAG. We've not heard from Ibadan. We've not heard from Ife. We've not heard from some of the big universities yet.
Benin, Calabar, UNN.
Calabar, Port Harcourt, we've not heard. We've not heard yet. So we're waiting. They too are holding meetings. They have their own individual...
Yeah, the local meeting, the local chapters.
They're going to decide what they're going to do on this matter. There's still what I can call a liminal period between now and when things implode again. Is it not right for the government to just say, let us get this thing over with? What are they doing? We are not hearing anything. There's a sense of feudal detachment, like those are ordinary people. Let us deal with it. Let us just do what are they going to do? And then the universities too are going to face the whole idea that if we go on strike, what is the optics?
Yeah.
What is it going to look like? It's also a very moral dilemma even for the universities.
It's true. It is. Yeah. It is. It's true. All right. We will. On the other hand, KONOA, the other, the association that broke out of ASUU, we understand that the government is paying or has agreed to pay their own salaries. But we'll talk about that aspect of KONOA after we go on a short break. Right, I'll be right back. Stay with us. You're watching TVC Breakfast. On this segment, we're looking at the issues between the federal government and ASUU. Recall that ASUU was on strike for about 8 months, and they suspended the strike just about a month ago. Part of the agreement, the last part of the agreements were that the no work, no pay policy be set aside, and then the issue of the IPPIS and the UTAS payment platforms be resolved. And the Speaker of the House of Representatives was one who brokered or intervened in the last lap of that disagreement. And ASUU agreed, and they suspended their strike. And part of it, that the monies will be paid, was part of the assurances. However, the federal government paid half of the salaries of ASUU for the month of October. It was said to be a pro rata arrangement where, well, it was when you worked that I paid you. So don't say I paid you half salary. I only paid you when you worked. That was the arrangement. But that's not going down well with ASUU. They've held an executive meeting yesterday in Abuja and at the national headquarters. That's in the University of Abuja. And we're waiting to see what the next line of action will be. Various chapters of ASUU have decided to take different measures so far, but in the coming days it will be clear what it will look like. So talking to us about this, we have the senior researcher, Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, University of Lagos, Professor Kayode Esuola, join us. He has been with us all the while. We had issues with his signal, but he is back on now on phone. Professor, it's good to have you joining us now on phone.
Well, maybe the forces somewhere did not want us to resolve this issue. But it's fine. whichever way we are going to speak to it.
The show must go on somehow.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what you have laid the foundation earlier, but a lot of people see what is going on. As much as government will say it is the issues of law, it is the issue of principle, but a lot of people will read it to be the issues of ego and pride generally, because government has the powers to make these payments and then resolve everything and then move on for the sake and benefit of the education sector in the first place. Is that what you see?
Let me just round off very quickly what I was talking about before the line got disconnected. It is the federal government of Nigeria that should be asked why we have not been able to reach solutions. Government should work in unison. I understand from elementary studies of government that you have in any country the legislature, the executive, the judiciary. If the government does not understand, Honorable Bajamia Amila, the Speaker of the House, will not come out with a call for educational summit that states almost verbatim everything that ASUU has been talking about since 2009. That means there is a full understanding on the part of the government, as demonstrated by Honorable Bajamia Amila. What is lacking is the political will, and perhaps I should say, ego on the part of the federal government. Forgetting that ego is a product of the vote of the common man on the street, including these children thrown out of school and their parents. 3,000 naira minimum wage every month, and who you have been sent. Let people assume, ladies and gentlemen, that ego exists on the part of the government. Maybe or exactly so. But this ego, it is too important on the part of
Professor, we're losing your audio again.
Okay. Is it fine now?
Well, it's here and there. We can hear one word, and then two other words will be lost, and then one word we can hear.
I know.
Still not okay yet.
Okay, let me change position. This is unfortunate, but I could change position.
Okay. We can hear you now. We can hear you now, so go ahead.
Okay. I don't who will go to the public and say, in my own the university system. That's not the kind of ego I want to build for myself. That's exactly be the position of the government. Out of ASUU, I want to our welfare. That's right. We have exhibited carefully, and we always ask today.
All right, Professor, we still can't hear you now. So I'm afraid that we have to end it this way because it won't be justice done to the listener who is, or the viewer who is supposed to get the meat of what you're saying. We really apologize for this break, but however, we still have to bring you back some other time to make sense of all of these issues. We were speaking with senior researcher, Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, University of Lagos, Professor Kayode Eswola. He was making sense of what's going on between the federal government and ASUU. And the issue there is where we have KONOA, which is the next union that is created out of ASUU. But they said they have been there for a long while. They've been there for a period of time. But their positions seem to be more aligned to what government is saying, we want within the system and so on.
Yeah, but they are also saying that they don't want a situation where you just pay them salary, that they also want you to abide by the proper decision. So in this case, it's a situation in which ASUU and KONO are agreeing with each other because the federal government is not really abiding by its own principle, its own agreement. The question is, what did the federal government agree with Gbajabiamila?
Yeah.
What are they doing now? That is the question. Why can't the government be just nice, good? I mean, why can't they just be faithful to their own words? It's not as if the money is not there. Maybe say, oh, the issue of 2009 agreement, we cannot pay that, and so on and so forth. What of the money, what of the work that they have done? You know that there was what people call bad belly in the issue of, okay, we're not going to pay you. You have been showing that you are stubborn. We're not going to pay you. Okay, there was peace. So after this peace came, what are we going to do with it? Eh? They found love and they couldn't do anything with it. Now that we found love, what are we going to do?
Exactly.
So that they
reminds
found
us
love,
of...
Then after Gbajabiamila came, they found love, and then they had nothing. They don't know what to do with it.
You remind me of
They can't embrace
the song by Heavy D.
Now that
we found love, what are we gonna do
with it?
With it?
Yeah, so they can't, it's fake love.
Hi, Sam, you have to, we will visit your library. We'll go and live there, your library, for a period of time. Yeah. You know, but how, the point there is, at this point, I think when everybody has come to say, let's do it this way, there are issues of, like you said, there are issues of law, there are issues of convention. Let's sit down together. Okay, we have all agreed. There's no work, no pay, but as a way of moving forward, let's have it done this way. The issue of justice being done and justice seen to have been done, that seen to have been done is even more important because that is the spirit of it. Like they talk about the constitution and constitutionalism. The constitutionalism is more important because the constitution is just a document.
It's a document.
But the constitutionalism is the spirit of it. That is the spirit. And if the moment you have that spirit, you don't even need the constitution. That's why some countries that don't have a written constitution, because they have an understanding of how to work and interrelate, they relate. And we see results.
In the human flesh, there is no spirit. In the human spirit, there is no blood. So we have to make sure that the spirit finds one way to cohere with the flesh.
With the flesh.
Because that is the only time that anything can happen. Now, what we are seeing now is that the spirit is dead, and then the flesh, the flesh is alive. It's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
Body to be without spirit, you know what the Bible says? That the body to be without spirit is dead.
Exactly.
Therefore, what we're having here is faith without works.
Without works.
In fact, the government has faith in itself, as well as faith in itself. Nobody has any work.
But the rubber meeting the road, that point of convergence.
That is the problem.
That's where the issue is.
That is the issue. They have to work together. They have to understand that education is the only thing binding them together. The future of the young, the future of this country relies on the young people. When you take the young people out of the equation, you have no future.
No future. Exactly. No future at all. No future.
Euripides said, whoso neglected learning in his youth loses the past and is dead forever. So we're neglecting the learning of these our young people now. So we're not only losing the past, there's no future left for us, as according to the playwright. So they have to understand that this is not about official arrogance or official hubris. This is about young people. I understand. You know, their children are in US and in London. They are sending them dollars to go and
even the dollars that nobody else can see.
But they have access to it. They know how to get it. They probably have their own dollar cards, and they can say, okay, you know, how much your school fees? $20,000, $50,000, $60,000. You can you can pay.
Yeah.
Forget the students here who are. But then we are trying to get Professor Kebukola later in the week
Yes.
to come and talk about the ranking of the university.
Exactly.
Our
Exactly.
universities have got very good ranking this year for the first time ever in history. The best ranking experience we have ever had. And Obukola promised that last time he was on this show. So we're having this good news coming from our universities, and we're having our officials trying to spoil it, because the way it is now, the next ranking is going to be very poor. The next ranking is going to be very poor because there was no session, there was no school, which is really a very tragic circumstance.
All right. Now, the issue there is I'm glad that most of the candidates that are contesting are talking about how to and what to do for education and for, and all of that. So I'm hoping, or we are hoping, or Nigerians are even hoping that the approach will be different from the next dispensation, because it seems this, as it is right, the status quo have taken their stand already.
It's paralysis.
So we hope to see what the next dispensation will look like, because we hope that
but we still need to engage this dispensation, because we still have some months left.
Of course.
We have to get them to pay their salaries. Pay their salaries.